The IAMC bears its fangs again. They bring in a Yale professor who's supposed to be an expert on fascism, and then he makes the statement that the Bharatiya Janata Party under the rule of Narendra Modi appears to be like fascist. But I want to just kind of show his tweet to you because I want to show you how he's trying to carefully choose his words so that he doesn't get embroiled in a defamation suit. Here we go. Yale University professor and world respected, I don't know, I have never heard of him, scholar on fascism, Dr. Jason Stanley, says that India's ruling Bharatiya Janata Party mimics the Nazi playbook. How does he substantiate this? Nothing. I'm going to go to the next. How does he substantiate this? These are his points. Modi's far-right supporters and Hindu supremacists celebrate their connections with Nazis. The RSS explicitly says, we want to do to Muslims what the Nazis did to Jews. Where? When? Something recent or something that you're going to take from 1930s? I mean, if you really want to establish a reference frame to that far back, there are much worse things that Americans have said about Hindus. So don't get there, Dr. Stanley. So keep your observations and keep them nuanced and keep a certain amount of balance. If you think that you are the professor at Yale, I would expect you to have a little bit of perspective, a little bit of balance. Here is the other interesting thing. BJP's recent Citizenship Amendment Act could be used to strip, again, very careful, could be used to strip. Wait a minute. How do you say that it could be used to strip? Which Muslims? The Muslims who illegally come to India and then try to claim CAA? Is that the one you're mentioning? Or the Muslims who are born in India who by right have a citizenship? See, this kind of parsing tells me that this man knows he is lying and therefore he tries to shroud it by using careful words. So that in case somebody comes and says, well, I said, it could be, woulda, coulda, shoulda. Okay, so people think that by bringing in a Yale professor, making him make some outlandish statements, but they probably are not understanding that he's couching them in carefully calibrated words so that it doesn't come back to blow up on his face. Why, you ask? I'm going to show you why he's going to be very careful with this. In fact, even his presence at this meeting could be trouble for him. I hope it doesn't end up being that. The third one is even more interesting. Modi's visions of a pure Hindu past also mirrors the idealized Aryan past envisioned by Adolf Hitler. I don't need to uncover connections between Modi and prior fascist regimes. They are clear and explicit. This is where the thing completely falls. You ask any Hindu in India, they'll say Modi is bending over backwards to appease the minorities. If anything, he has pandered them, pampered them. So whatever you are saying here, you're flat wrong. I mean, the reality on the ground is anything but what you are mentioning here or you are claiming here. Oh, how many times have you gone to India and how many people have you talked to? Clearly, all that information is not going to be available. Now, why is this convention, this attendance of this Stanley, Professor Stanley at IAMC could spell trouble for him? Here we go. We've done this thing from the Disinfo lab many times, and here is a circular map that kind of tells you the different relationships. You start from Equality Labs, Tenmuri Soundararajan. Now she gets funded or she's connected with Ambedkar.org. I'm going to go into more detail into this chart by looking at various parts and giving you a little bit more detail. But look at where Equality Labs next gets IAMC. So these are all connected. TwoCircles.net is also another organization that I think puts out data. So you have Equality Labs giving flawed reports on caste, and many other people do similar things. But look at the bigger picture. They have something called a Dalit voice, and that goes and connects itself to Pakistan Army, ISI. And I'll get, again, a little bit more details as I drill down into more details, and I'll show you how these connects are. The biggest problem that IAMC has is there has been one drug case where people have been indicted and they are of Pakistani origin and they have actually transferred money back to Pakistan for what? I will tell you in a minute. Okay, so this is a big quadrant. Again, if you go to the Disinfo lab, you'll see this thing. That link also I provided in the description. There are several links. You can go through them to understand where things stand. Equality Labs had couple of people who were helping it out in the beginning days, and 𝗥𝗲𝗬𝗏, who has a family background going back to the Pakistani army, was one of those. I think her mother or her daughter, one of them, was actively involved. Now, all these people used to be available on the Equality Labs website. Since people started investigating, guess what 𝗤𝗏𝗧𝗏 does? Sanitizes the site. All these names are missing. But the ever watchful disinfolab.org has the before and after snapshots. So you can't run away from all these things. So everything is covered. You can go and click on that link and you will be able to get the data. There's plethora of evidence about their connect. So they can't just run away. Now, look at where Equality Labs leads to. Bhajan Singh Bhinder. Who is Bhajan Singh Bhinder? This guy is a designated terrorist in India. He's a part of the OFMI. This is another alphabet soup that will keep claiming that the minorities are persecuted in India. They will not see what is happening in Pakistan. They will not see what is happening in Afghanistan to their own brethren. This is the stupidity of these people. This is where I really get amused when they keep claiming all this nonsense. And the most important thing here, that K2 conspiracy. Here is another, this is the compelling evidence because this has been tried and convicted in a court in the United States. And what is that? The K2 conspiracy and the Pak connection. A federal grand jury indicted 8 Missouri residents and 5 California residents in connection with a mass conspiracy to distribute K2, a manufactured synthetic cannabinoid, through the mail. The sentencing came down in 2016. The indictment placed a criminal complaint filed on April 12th against a California man. His name is Raja Nawaz, 41 years old, and he was arrested the next day. They believe that Nawaz used his 3 California businesses to FedEx packages of the drug to wholesale buyers. You know what they would mark on the package? They'll say incense stick, aroma therapy, and things like that. So people wouldn't suspect if they were actually shipping cannabinoids. The smoking gun is that the authorities caught Raja Nawaz sending close to $400,000 in drug sale profit. The entire amount that they seized was $6.6 million, and much of that this guy had to forego, but this money had already left the country and it is sitting in Pakistan. So why would he want to send money back to Pakistan? Where did these cannabinoids originate from? That's the question. Was the ISI/Pakistan army trying to, here, go back and look at this. Was the ISI and Pakistan army trying to start selling drugs directly into the United States? We've already told you how opium is produced in Afghanistan. It gets purified and then the mules start from Pakistan. They go east, they cross into India, and then they go cross India and go to Southeast Asia. They also go down south on the ocean, go to Dubai, and then get spread in other places across the world. They're basically like Colombia, what Colombia used to be many years ago. So this is the direct connect. Now, the more critical thing is there any possibility that Pakistan might also be transporting fentanyl? That would be a big deal. Remember, one of the presidential contenders is now talking about this, how the raw materials for manufacturing fentanyl have been sent from China into Mexico, and Mexico, they are trying to create the final product. In fact, the amounts are astounding. Once somebody gets hooked on fentanyl, within 12 months that person dies. There is no other way. So this is a very dangerous drug, and I hope that it doesn't get to that Pakistan is also caught doing something like this. Anyway, so you have all these different people who are connected as part of direct ISI army links. You have Ghulam Nabi Fai, one character who's convicted in the US, and he is known as an ISI agent. This guy is connection also with another organization that the Pak army has supported in the past. Now, all this draws back to where? The Pakistani establishment. Now you can say, oh, well, there is not much money going around in the establishment, therefore there is no funding. It doesn't matter. If you committed a crime, then you are guilty. Whenever it happens, it's going to happen. I don't know when the United States are going to crack the whip. Now look at the other part. So we went up the top quadrant, the right quadrant, we have the bottom left quadrant now. Here we see the Equality Labs, who are all the people who were connected with it in the beginning. There was 𝗤𝗏𝗧𝗏𝗏, of course, she's still there. Then there is a contributor by name of 𝗥𝗲𝗄𝗎𝗀𝗀, who is the founder of Urdustan. They came up with all these things: Urdustan, Dalitistan, thisistan, thatistan, mystan, yourstan, every stan. It doesn't matter. All these are, theoretical concepts. People just they have a map, they just go draw, this is going to be my land. So what? It's a waste of time. Anyway, so you see how these people go back to the same organizations, such as the Indian Muslims.info, 2circles.net. It's not even, and sitting right below that is what? IAMC. So you have the connect between IAMC, Equality Labs, and then you have the K2 conspiracy, which is drugs. So this is just a proven path where there is association of these organizations being connected directly through individuals into a drug running organization which has been convicted in the United States. So I would be very careful about handling myself with them, getting even $1 donation from such organizations. It is going to land them in trouble. Now here is the other interesting part. Dalitistan, and it worked with something called as a Dalit Voice, whose founder is V.T. Rajshekhar, and guess who is his son? This is the guy who's the vice president of George Soros organization, Open Society Foundations in India, that Shetty person. Anyway, so you see this thing is now complete. No matter which way you go, it's the same set of characters. They're all, using money that has been set aside by dubious organizations, and they use that money to try and impose 1,000 cuts on India. I hope the Indian government wakes up to this. More importantly, the United States and the United States citizens, and also Indian Americans. All of you are busy, I, me, myself, nothing wrong in that. My future, my children's future, and so on. But between all these things, somebody is painting you in the most horrible way possible. And unfortunately, these are also our own kith and kin. Ignorance and deliberate misrepresentation of facts, or having some other issues while growing up, is taking these people to take some rather extreme positions. I hope you understand that this video was an attempt to try and show you how IAMC, even as its flames are beginning to die, continues to spew venom, and it's only a matter of time before all this is going to die on its own, because the funding is going to stop, I hope. And hopefully, those who have seen the error of their ways are shown their place. Thanks for watching. Please like, share, and subscribe to our channel. Don't forget to click on the bell button for notifications. And viewers, we are going to start Twitter Spaces soon, and we would welcome you all to come there, because then it becomes a more interactive session. It will be 1 hour, 2 hour sessions, and you can ask our experts questions and you will get your answers. Not one question, one answer, or listening to a monologue such as this one. Thanks again. Namaskar. Thank you.